Hello and welcome. You're with the news today, Tuesday night. Your destination for news, newsmakers, talking points. We'll be focusing on the dangal for justice in just a moment. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. The protest by India's Olympic wrestlers now reaches India Gate. A month into the protest, the wrestlers demand that Wrestling Federation Chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh be immediately arrested over charges of sexual harassment. An ordinance war is triggered between the Congress and the AAP. Many regional Congress leaders refuse to back Kejriwal in the services showdown with the centre. Mamata Banerjee declares her support to the AAP chief after meeting with him. Modi, Modi chants echo in Sydney as euphoric Indians greet the Prime Minister at a mega event in the Australian city. Prime Minister says India and Australia are united by democracy, diaspora and dosti, the 3 Ds. The Trinamool Congress decides to boycott the new Parliament inauguration on May 28, says new Sansad is all about Prime Minister Modi, not about the MPs. Politics escalates over the G20 meet in Srinagar. National Conference patron Farooq Abdullah's daughter Safia mocks the huddle, says normalcy image of the valley is a facade to hide the forces on the ground. No long lines outside banks, but confusion prevails on first day of the exchange of 2,000 rupee notes. Ground reports show banks making their own rules on the number of exchanges per day and ID norms. RBI leaves it to individual banks. Travancore Temple Board issues circular, says no RSS shakas or mass drills to be allowed in temples. A day after violence resurfaces in Manipur, curfew now relaxed for residents of Imphal, but internet ban will continue till the 26th of May. The UPSC Civil Services exam results for 2022 are declared. Women dominate the top 5 ranks. But let's turn to tonight's top story, and it's a story that every Indian must look at carefully. For the last 1 month, some of India's top wrestlers, including an Olympic medal winner, have been on the streets at Jantar Mantar in the national capital, protesting and demanding the arrest of the Wrestling Federation of India chief and BJP MP Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. The sexual harassment charges are serious. Today, on the completion of 1 month, the wrestlers carried out a candlelight march in the national capital. They say they will not stop their protest until Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is arrested. An FIR, remember, has been filed under the direction of the Supreme Court, but the wrestlers allege that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is very influential and will not be arrested, which is why they are continuing to put pressure on the system. Now today, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh actually went to the extent of saying that the charges against him were bogus because there's a difference between good touch and bad touch. The wrestlers, who include, as I said, leading women wrestlers, as well as a minor who made these charges, have made their complaints now to the police. The question is someone protecting Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? Should he be treated as innocent until proven guilty, as the law of the land demands? And is there an end game to the wrestlers' protest? It's our top story today.
1 month after hitting the streets to demand justice, India's champion wrestlers took out a candle march in the capital. Their fight against Wrestling Federation of India chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who is facing charges of sexual harassment, is turning out to be a grueling one.
सभी बड़े बुजुर्गों ने एक फैसला लिया है कि 28 तारीख को संसद भवन के सामने नई संसद भवन के सामने महिलाओं का महापंचायत होगा और महिलाएं इसको लीड करेंगी और जितने भी हमारी बड़ी माताएं हैं, बहनें हैं, जो हमारे साथ में समर्थन में आएंगी और हम चाहते हैं कि वो बढ़ चढ़ के हिस्सा लें, क्योंकि अगर ये आवाज़ उठी है तो ये आवाज़ दूर तक जानी चाहिए.
The man facing the charges, a BJP MP from Kesarganj, is defiant from day one, spewing one insult after another.
ये जो मुकदमा है, ये
Brij Bhushan's remarks triggered sharp reactions from the wrestlers.
ब्रिज भूषण तो अपने घर पे चेयर पे बैठ के कुछ भी अनाप शनाप बातें बोल रहा है और कुछ भी बोल रहा है, मतलब उससे तो इसको पता लग जाना चाहिए किस किस्म का और किस माइंडसेट का आदमी है ये। तो स्ट्रगल तो हम ही कर रहे हैं, वो तो अपना फ्री बैठा है, ऐसे जैसे उसका कोई कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता है, ऐसे जैसे वो देश का प्रधानमंत्री वही है और उसका कोई कुछ भी बाल बाका नहीं कर सकता है। तो उस एटीट्यूड से वो बैठा है, तो बैठे हैं हम भी, तब तक वो गिरफ्तार नहीं हो जाता है, जब तक न्याय नहीं मिल जाता हम बैठे हैं।
They have now reiterated their demand for a polygraph and narco test on the WFI chief.
हम तो 15 दिन से बोल रहे हैं कि नार्को टेस्ट करा लो। उन्होंने कल ही अचानक से क्यों बोला कि पहले हमारा होना चाहिए। बिल्कुल होना चाहिए, हमारा होना चाहिए, जो 7 लड़कियां हैं, बजरंग है, सबका होना चाहिए, लेकिन पहले उनका होना चाहिए, फिर हमारा होना चाहिए। जो भी दोषी होगा उसको सजा मिल जानी चाहिए।
It was on April 23rd the wrestlers reignited their protest in the heart of the national capital. This time, 7 athletes went to the police to file complaint of sexual harassment against Brij Bhushan. One of the alleged victims was a minor. But even to get an FIR filed, the athletes who have made India proud on the biggest global stage had to move the Supreme Court. What upset the wrestlers more than anything was the reaction of the Indian Olympic Association chief PT Usha, an Olympian herself.
वो लोग पहले थोड़ा तो डिसिप्लिन तो होना चाहिए, है ना? तो they should come to us earlier if they have a real problem. Instead of coming to us, they are gone straight away to street. No, it is not good for the sports.
The wrestlers found the silence of other sports icons troubling. The administration has attempted every trick in the book to break the wrestlers' will. The electricity supply to the venue was cut in peak summer. A scuffle with the police one night saw them reduced to tears. But the wrestlers are in no mood to give up yet. Bureau Report, India Today.
So what will it take to bring justice to our wrestlers? Should the government be reaching out to our wrestlers? Is there an end game at all in sight? Joining me now is one of the country's leading sports journalists, covered several Olympics. Norris Preetham joins me. Joining me is Kirti Singh, legal convener, AIDWA, the left-backed outfit. I'm also joined by Amitabh Sinha, lawyer at the Supreme Court and has been associated with the BJP. And I am also at this moment being joined by Ellen Rao. He is a former Deputy Commissioner of Police in Delhi. The road ahead, what's the way forward, is the big question that's being asked. Kirti Singh, do you believe that the wrestlers are justified in calling for the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? There's a legal process, there's a police inquiry going on. Can you short circuit that police process by simply saying, arrest Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, we won't leave Jantar Mantar until then?
The point is, Rajdeep, I believe that they are totally justified, and it's 1 month now since they are protesting, and they want justice because the process, as far as they have seen, has not been just to them. They had to go to the Supreme Court, and only there did the government agree to register the FIR. The bogus inquiry that was set up to look into their complaints didn't let them even give their complaints properly, minimized their complaints, and they were heckled for it. And they were told that it was no big thing. The point is that these 6 girls who are the pride of our nation and of our country have been subjected to physical sexual harassment. So it's not a simple joke, including a minor. And a minor, under the POCSO Act, the minor's case comes under Section 10, which punishes a person for a minimum of 5 till 7 years. So the point, the police is not at all justified in
the
not
process,
arresting
ma'am, the process.
Brij Bhushan, who on the other hand,
process. Can you demand? Ma'am, can you demand arrest? Can you demand arrest until the inquiry has to be completed, surely, and then you can, based on the inquiry by the police, they will arrest or not arrest an individual. Otherwise, are we saying that you are guilty till proven innocent?
Yes. No, we are not saying. There are situations in which people after the filing of FIR can be arrested. That is, if the police has reasonable grounds to see that the crime has been committed, and they had the report of the so-called inquiry committee before it, they have the FIR of 6 of these people, there's a young girl. This seems like a serial sexual harasser. Plus, when you talk of process, if a person can tamper with the evidence, then obviously you have to put him in custody so that he doesn't go and then start saying that I'm going to have so and so yatra, or and then when his people are all the time intimidating these girls. You see, they are intimidating, so they are not allowing the procedure to carry on as it should. The police have acted in
Mr.
a partisan manner. So therefore, they're asking for the arrest. Yeah.
Let me stop you for a moment.
Sorry.
Okay, let me stop you for a moment, because we have a police officer, Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, the Delhi police is being accused by women activists and by the wrestlers of behaving in a partisan manner. That here is a case where they have been making these allegations for a while. They first did the protests in January. They had to then go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court directed the Delhi police to file an FIR. Otherwise, because it is a powerful MP of the ruling party, it seemed that the police was reluctant to file an FIR.
Yes, Rajdeep, this is like this, that I will answer your question in 2 parts. Number 1 part, when the police did not register an FIR in this POCSO Act, and because after the Verma Commission in 2013, there was a clear indication that if there is any complaint of any cognizable offence under POCSO and rape or something like that, the police has to register the FIR immediately. And the further investigation is to be carried out. Now, on the second part, after registration of this case, that the Supreme Court was not to be involved in that for getting the order of registration of the police should have done at their own. But after that, registration of an FIR, the prerogative of arresting a person, whether he is to be arrested or not, that is totally entirely on the investigating agency. Whether they are found any plausible evidence to say that he was actually involved in that case. Number 2, where if he is not arrested, will he be a threat to the investigation, or will he be destroying any evidence or threatening some witnesses like that?
No, he will be a threat, Mr. Rao. He's a very powerful man. No, Mr. Rao, we are talking of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, 6-time MP, someone who in the past has been arrested under TADA for harboring terrorists linked to Dawood Ibrahim, someone who has self-confessed to murdering someone on camera. Are you telling me someone like that cannot intimidate these girls? Surely
Yes,
the police needed to act much faster and needed to give protection to the wrestlers.
Rajdeep, I'm not saying that he cannot, but I'm saying as per law what should be done. Now we have to see whether he can do or not. He cannot do. That is a separate thing, and then that also depends upon the evidences or any complaint or any any sort of allegations that he is threatening, to whom he is threatening, when he is threatened. All these things have to be taken care of. Only then he can be arrested. Then. And again,
okay, Kirti Singh? Okay, Kirti Singh, do you have any proof? Do you have any evidence that there has been threats and intimidation? Do you all have records of calls? No, because a lot of this at the moment is one allegation being made by the wrestlers, but many of them are unproven. When you say that the girls are being threatened, where is the evidence?
There is evidence. The calls will be there. There is evidence. Should the police even try to gather it? I mean, the police hasn't done so. It hasn't even taken a 164 statement from Brij Bhushan. It is letting Brij Bhushan roam the country, organizing yatras and organizing demonstrations in his favor. I mean, there is a limit, because all these girls have spoken in front of the committee. They have given detailed evidence of places where they have been, subjected to sexual harassment, in hotels, in other places, wherever in the office. of Brij Bhushan. They've given the name of people who have facilitated this harassment. It's not as if they haven't given details. And it's not, and the young girl who was not even, who was a minor, she certainly has also said and given details. So it's not that, and the threats are being given to them. And what's more, why I say the police are partisan is because actually the police on a day when it was raining heavily and these wrestlers who had been out in the open tried to get in some makeshift beds, the police stopped them. And there was a ruckus. Even the Delhi State Commission chairperson was picked up by the police and shoved into the car as if she was a very lawless person and was doing something atrociously wrong. So it's not as if, you know, the Delhi police has not been.
Let me for a moment once again stop you. You're making, you've made that point again. You're claiming, ma'am, just a minute. You're claiming that the police has acted in a partisan manner. You're claiming that there is evidence of calls which have been, which these girls have received, that the Delhi police should go through the call records of Brij Bhushan. But I just want for a moment to turn to Amitabh Sinha. Amitabh Sinha जी, आप वकील भी हैं, आप बीजेपी से साथ भी पहले जुड़े हुए हैं. मैं आपसे सीधा सवाल पूछ रहा हूं. क्या आप मानते हैं कि एक तरफ है बाहुबली नेता, दूसरी तरफ है ये ओलंपिक एथलीट्स जिन्होंने देश को गौरव लाया है? क्या कहीं ना कहीं आप मानते हैं कि कोई ना कोई प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है इस बाहुबली नेता को? ऐसा लगता है कि एक तरफ सरकार कहती है बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, और वही सरकार एक बाहुबली नेता जिस पर गंभीर आरोप लग रहे हैं उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने की कोशिश कर रही है. कोई भी मंत्री भी नहीं आता इन रेसलर्स को मिलने के लिए. जब कोई अवार्ड होता है, कोई ये रेसलर मेडल लाते हैं तो सब उनके पीछे जाते हैं. आज कोई उनके साथ नहीं है. क्यों? क्या वजह है? क्या सरकार क्यों ब्रिज भूषण शरण सिंह को प्रोटेक्ट कर रही है?
राजदीप जी, धन्यवाद, आपने मुझे बोलने का मौका दिया. एक तो सबसे पहले मेरे जो बारे में आपने दोहरा परिचय दिया उसकी आवश्यकता नहीं थी. यहाँ मैं एक कानून के विद्यार्थी के नाते, एक लीगल प्रोफेशनल के नाते मैं यहाँ आया हूँ, और यही आपके गेस्ट कोऑर्डिनेशन ने भी मुझे कहा था. पार्टी का परिचय वैसे भी देना अभी इरेलेवेंट है, क्योंकि ये मामला बहुत ही ज्यादा, क्योंकि यहाँ पर महिलाएं, लड़कियां इन्वॉल्व हैं, और खास करके वैसे पर्सनैलिटीज हैं जिनका की अपना एक इमेज है देश में और विदेशों में भी. दे हैव वन मेडल्स फॉर द कंट्री. लेकिन एक चीज ये बताइए कि कोई भी व्यक्ति कानून से ऊपर नहीं है. एक बात तो ये डॉक्ट्रिन तो मानना पड़ेगा कि कानून से ऊपर कुछ नहीं है. कानून यानी कि जब जुडिशियरी के पास ये गए, इसमें एक बहुत चेन ऑफ इवेंट्स है, मैं उस पर नहीं जाऊंगा क्योंकि अब उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है. जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उन सभी चीजों को ऑब्वियसली बहुत ही कायदे से, बहुत ही सिस्टम से उसको एनालाइज करने की कोशिश की, और उसके बाद जब उसने कोई एक अपना फाइनल क्लोजर दे दिया इस वर्डिक्ट पे, और उसके बाद मुझे अफसोस ये बात है कि जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट का वर्डिक्ट आया तब उसके बाद इस पूरे प्रकरण में जो मैसेज दिया गया, जो तुरंत स्टेटमेंट आया कि वी विल कंटिन्यू विद द प्रोटेस्ट. आप एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट आप गए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कुछ, इसका मतलब है शुरुआत में आपको कोर्ट पे, जुडिशरी पे भरोसा था, लेकिन जब कोर्ट ने जो भी अपना वर्डिक्ट दिया, जो भी दिया, मैं उस पर भी अभी जाने का विषय नहीं, तो उसके बाद आपने तुरंत घोषणा की कि हम प्रोटेस्ट पे जाएंगे. तो ये बेसिकली रूल ऑफ लॉ या डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है, तो मोबोक्रेसी है. मोबोक्रेसी यानी कि भीड़ तंत्र. अब आप ये बताइए कि जंतर मंतर से कानूनी फैसले होंगे क्या? आपको ये जानना चाहिए कि जो भी व्यवस्था है उस व्यवस्था में जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन है उसमें कॉग्निजेबल नॉन बेलेबल ऑफेंसेज होते हैं. बिल्कुल मेरी बात जो है वो मेरे सामने स्पष्ट है. सॉरी, आपकी बात मेरे सामने स्पष्ट है कि उसमें जो मैम है जिन्होंने लड़कियां और नाबालिग और ऐसे बहुत ही इमोशनल पॉइंट्स रेज किए हैं. देखिए, कानून में इमोशन की अपनी जगह जो है वो बहुत सीमित होती है, उसमें तथ्य होते हैं. और मैं ये बोलूं कि यदि इन्होंने बहुत मेडल ला के और उसके बाद नाम किया तो भी वो, एक मिनट राजदीप, वो कानून से ऊपर नहीं है. वो जो रूल ऑफ लॉ है वही चलेगा. यदि वहां पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये देखा कि जो इन्वेस्टिगेशंस हैं वो अपना काम कर रही हैं, इन्होंने जो अपने स्टेटमेंट दिए बंद लिफाफे में सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, उसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इवेलुएट किया, उसके बाद उसने ये लिफाफों को पढ़ने के बाद में, उनके चार्जेस को पढ़ने के बाद में उन्होंने केस बंद किया. अब यदि मान लिया FIR अभी ऑनगोइंग प्रोसेस है, उसमें आप किसी को गिरफ्तारी के लिए, और उसमें खापों का इन्वॉल्वमेंट, देखिए ये खाप इन्वॉल्वमेंट, इसमें पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के नेता गए, इन्होंने उनके केस को और खराब किया है. मैं आपको इतना बता दूं, मैं एज ए लॉयर में जानता हूँ प्रेशर टैक्टिक्स से जुडिशरी
नहीं आप कह रहे हैं कि पॉलिटिशियन, अच्छा नहीं सर, अमिताभ जी आपने एक बड़ी बात कही है कि खाप पंचायत को वहां लाकर, पॉलिटिशियन को लाकर ये पॉलिटिसाइज हो गया है. वेरी क्विकली कीर्ति सिंह, बिफोर आई गो टू नॉरिस प्रीतम ऑन द स्पोर्टिंग एंगल, do you agree that bringing in Khap Panchayat, saying we will only listen to what the Khap Panchayat say of Haryana, bringing, virtually suggesting that even we don't accept what the Supreme Court says, then politicians dive in, especially from the opposition parties. Has that somewhere meant that this entire protest has lost its momentum because you've involved Khap Panchayats, seemingly extra constitutional authorities, politicians coming there, has changed the entire nature of what was seen otherwise as a fight for justice of the athletes?
Sir Rajdeep, if the opposition comes in and if others come in, like the Khap Panchayats or the Kisan Sabhas or the women's movement, and it's not just one constituent of the women's movement which has come forward, it is women from all over the country. It is the entire movement, all the NGOs, all the different organizations that have come forward to support the wrestlers, and they have come forward because they are outraged. Why can't anybody support? It's just because they belong to a political party they can't support? That's an absolutely wrong way of thinking.
No, but the Khap Panchayats cannot decide. The courts will decide. A Khap Panchayat cannot decide. Ma'am, Khap Panchayats cannot decide. Do you agree that a Khap Panchayat cannot decide whether the girls have been sexually harassed? That will be decided by a court.
No, that will be decided by the court, and we are not saying that the Khap Panchayat should decide. That is just putting a spin on it. The Khap Panchayats, if they want to support, they will support, but they are not going to decide the case. The case is obviously going to be decided by the court, but I think now a situation has come that if the court doesn't step in and sees that this case is investigated properly, transparently and quickly, then we'll have a situation where no justice will be done, because then and I wish.
Okay, let me just take that. Let me tell you, you're saying you're worried. Okay, you're clarifying that, ma'am. Okay, you're saying you would have liked the case to be monitored by the court. Norris Preetham, these are all champion athletes. They won Olympic medals for the country. Do you believe that there are personal agendas here, or do you believe it's time to give some respect to our athletes? It isn't easy for a woman athlete, even if she's an Olympic medal winner or is contested the Olympic, to actually stand up to someone like Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. You know Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, you know how he's ruled the Wrestling Federation. Do you believe that it's difficult what the girls have done? They deserve greater empathy, sympathy from other sports persons. Why don't I see more sports persons coming to Jantar Mantar in solidarity with the women wrestlers?
Rajdeep, sports nowadays, at the present circumstances, maybe in the last 10-15 years, sports has taken a different channel altogether. There are different sports persons. I mean, you talk about P.T. Usha, Milkha Singh, Shri Ram Singh, and all those people. They were different people. They were real sports persons. Nowadays, sports persons, if they go for their selection trial to be in the team, in the Indian team, if they go to the courts, if they go to the ministry, if they go to a minister for favors, so where is the way? Why do you think the people will come? Everybody has an axe to grind. I mean, look what P.T. Usha said in the first instance. She said, "Oh, it's indiscipline." I mean, she should have thought 10 times before saying that. So that's why sports persons are not coming, because they know that the moment, at least the active sports person, the moment they come, they know that they will never be selected in the team. They will never get promotion. Some of the wrestlers also, they are in police, Haryana police and Punjab police and elsewhere. Do you think a man from UP police will come? I mean, privately, there are so many sports persons who are telling me, yes, बहुत बुरा हुआ इनके साथ, ये होना चाहिए, वो होना चाहिए, but nobody is coming up because they know that their jobs are also at stake. So no sports person will come for them. Now another thing is, I have spoken to many lawyers, some advocates, even they are saying in media also, oh, it's a POSCO, minor girl, he should be immediately arrested. But nobody say it publicly. They say it privately. Yeah. It's a clear case for arrest.
So
But
are you
why-
saying there is a fear factor? Are you saying Norris there is a fear factor that a number of our top sports persons are fearful of taking on the government because if they support the wrestlers, their careers will be on the line or their jobs will be on the line. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And when I say
No,
it's a
Rajdeep,
case of
Rajdeep.
arrest, I'm not a legal head. I'm not a legal mind. I don't know law at all. But I'm saying what lawyers have been telling me that under POSCO, arrest is first and then the inquiry. But this is not happening. So why the law fraternity, the legal fraternity, is also not taking up and supporting them? This is something illegal being held according to them. It's not me saying that. They are saying that the POSCO mein
Right.
arrest hona chahiye. So why they are not coming up? Why only sports persons? The common man, the legal people with a legal mind, they should come.
Right. You're saying, first of all, the sports persons are too frightened. You're questioning why the legal people are also not speaking out. Amitabh Sinha, ये सच्चाई ये है कि ये बड़ा एक तरह से ब्रिज भूषण शरण सिंह आज मध्य उत्तर प्रदेश में, सेंट्रल उत्तर प्रदेश, ही कंट्रोल्स 4 or 5 कंस्टिट्यूंसीज. और डर कहीं क्या बीजेपी को ये है या जो भी सत्ता में है कि हम उसको नाराज नहीं कर सकते, इसलिए ब्रिज भूषण शरण सिंह को नाराज नहीं करना है. डर एक तरफ तो डर स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन का है, नेताओं का क्या डर है? आप मुझे बताइए. बजरंग पुनिया तो कल तक कह रहे थे नरेंद्र मोदी जी हमारे नेता हैं, ही इज अ सपोर्टर ऑफ बीजेपी. उसको भी एक तरह से आपने किनारे कर दिया है. कोई भी मंत्री उसको मिलने भी नहीं जाता है. विमेन्स एंड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्टर स्मृति ईरानी वहां जा सकती थी, अनुराग ठाकुर स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर वहां जा सकते थे. कोई ना कोई सुलह तो हो सकती है. व्हाई कांट देयर बी सम नेगोशिएशन? कोई तो आपने वहां जाकर लड़कियों को कहना चाहिए, आश्वासन देना चाहिए कि हम ये मामला सुलझाएंगे. इवन दैट इज नॉट हैपनिंग. क्या डर है ब्रिजभूषण शरण सिंह का? क्या ताकत है उसकी?
राजदीप, चूंकि आपने मुझे बार बार पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चंस कर रहे हैं तो मैं थोड़ा सा इसमें आंसर कर दूं. 1 मिनट मैं आंसर कर दूं. देखिए, यदि आप पॉलिटिकली इस बात को एनालाइज कराना चाह रहे हैं मेरे से, तो मैं इतना बता दूं कि मैं भी एक नॉर्मल इंडियन सिटीजन के नाते में देख रहा हूं कि ये प्रील्यूड है 2024 के चुनाव का. और ये तब तक शायद चलाने की इनकी योजना है कि 2024 में जैसे किसान आंदोलन हुआ था वैसे ही खाप पंचायत मिलके और अपोजिशन पार्टी बहुत सारे प्लान्स कर रही है. उसके हिसाब से इसको, इन महिलाओं को और इन खिलाड़ियों को आगे
नहीं, आप कह रहे हैं कि कोई राजनीति नहीं, बट
अब मुझे बोलने दीजिए ना, मैंने आपके प्रश्न को सुन लिया.
हाँ, आप कह रहे हैं विनेश फोगाट और बजरंग पुनिया को कोई राजनेता आगे कर रहे हैं. आप कह रहे हैं 1 महीने के लिए वो जंतर मंतर वहां है, कोई राजनेता उनको आगे कर रहा है. ये आपका आरोप है.
आप वो जिस अखाड़े से आते हैं उस अखाड़े पे दीपेंद्र हुड्डा और भूपेंद्र सिंह हुड्डा का वर्चस्व है. और वो पूरा का पूरा ये लड़ाई जो है अखाड़ों की लड़ाई है. उसमें यदि ये खाप घुस गए हैं, इसमें आप पार्टी के नेता आ गए हैं, कांग्रेस के नेता आ गए हैं, तो अब आपको ये समझना चाहिए कि आप इतने वरिष्ठ और इतने सुलझे हुए पत्रकार हैं, 30 साल से, आपको भी मैं जान रहा हूँ. ये इसमें क्या आपको कोई राजनीति नहीं समझ में आ रही यदि आप बगैर एजेंडा के इसको एनालाइज करने की कोशिश करें तो. और मैं अब मैं ये अपनी बात करके समाप्त करूंगा. यदि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कोई बात को क्लोज किया है और उसके बावजूद ये स्टेटमेंट आ रहा है कि हम धरना खत्म नहीं करेंगे, तो ये तो 2006 में सुकन्या रेप मर्डर जैसे रेप का जो राहुल गांधी के खिलाफ में जो केस हुआ था 2006 में कि राहुल गांधी ने रेप किया था सुकन्या का, उसके बाद भी यदि कोर्ट ने कोई उसके ऊपर में फैसला दिया और उस परिवार का कोई पता नहीं है सुकन्या और
सर, सर आई एम सॉरी, देयर इज नो सर, डोंट नॉट सर, देयर इज नो सुकन्या, दिस सुकन्या स्टोरी, ये सुकन्या स्टोरी है. आप इसे मत करिए इस तरह से. यू कैन नॉट मेक दिस काइंड ऑफ बेसलेस एलिगेशन. कोई सुकन्या ये जो केस है क्या है?
कोर्ट ने एक बार जब एक काम के ऊपर में एक अपना वर्डिक्ट दे दिया है तो एक स्वाभाविक जो न्यायप्रिय नागरिक है उसको सम्मान करना चाहिए कोर्ट के, ना कि उसको आंदोलन करना चाहिए. ये रूल ऑफ लॉ के हिसाब से चलेगा, यहाँ पर मोबोक्रेसी नहीं चलेगी. और यदि
सर आप बार कह रहे हैं रूल ऑफ लॉ से करना चाहिए. आई वांट टू मेक इट क्लियर टू आवर व्यूअर्स, दीज एलिगेशंस हैव नॉट बीन, दीज आर बेसलेस एलिगेशन दैट हैव बीन मेड without proving Amitabh Sinha. कोई भी, every person is innocent till proven guilty. But Norris Preetham has a final word. Is there politics? Amitabh Sinha is saying these wrestlers. एक मिनट sir. Sir, you have made your point. These wrestlers.
अनुराग ठाकुर है.
Okay, 1 minute.
Rajdeep, can you please repeat?
1 minute. Can we speak or
Norris Preetham, do you believe that there is politics in this? No, Kirti Singh and Amitabh Sinha, wait. Norris Preetham, are these women athletes, wrestlers now driven by politics? Is there a political angle according to you or not?
Rajdeep, listen. The politicians may have put ghee into the fire, right? But who ignited the fire? You think the politician went and told Vinesh to sit there and plant all these things? Because nothing was happening. If action, the police action or the legal action would have been taken in the initial 1 week, nothing, no politician would have come. There would have been no dharna.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that politicians have done it, no, absolutely wrong.
So
because I know these wrestlers personally very well. They are far away from politicians. If they had been into politics, they would not have been a sports person. They have no time for such things. I mean, you have to be a world champion, to be an Olympic medalist, to be an Asian Games champion, you have to work 365 days, 24 hours, all the time they are in training. They don't think about it. Yes, politicians, like most other people, they are also taking advantage of the fact that these people are sitting there and they are getting mileage. That's right, I understand. And it happens all over the world, just not in India, everywhere, in every situation. But to say that politicians have instigated them to do this, I don't agree with it.
Okay, and I will treat that as the word of someone who has tracked these athletes in Olympic sport for years. It's a word that I will trust, and it's a word, therefore, that I will ask you, the viewers, to decide. Who do we trust more? Olympic athletes or a member of parliament who in the past has had serious cases against him, a Tada détenu once who has self-confessed to a crime? Who do you trust? Yes, we must trust the rule of law, but will the rule of law act in a non-partisan manner? Will they ensure at least that there is a fair and transparent inquiry? Those who make slogans about gender justice, they should ask themselves these questions. Why are you not standing up with those who seem to be the victims here rather than the person who's accused of being the perpetrator? It's for you, the people of India, to ask these hard questions of our ruling class. But I thank my guests for joining me here on the news today. Okay, let's turn from there to the big political story of the day, the world of diplomacy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Sydney, Australia, received a rock star-like welcome. The Australian Prime Minister went to the extent of calling Mr. Modi the big boss. Just what explains Mr. Modi's popularity among the diaspora, especially in countries like Australia? Listen in to this story.
Hugs, handshakes, high fives and a traditional welcome. The Narendra Modi Anthony Albanese bonhomie took centre stage at the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney Olympic Park. An enthusiastic crowd of over 20,000 even stunned the Australian Prime Minister.
I said to my friend the Prime Minister before, the last time I saw someone on the stage here was Bruce Springsteen, and he didn't get the welcome that Prime Minister Modi has got. Prime Minister Modi is the boss.
After a rock star welcome, the Prime Minister took to the stage among chants of Modi Modi.
क्रिकेट की फील्ड पर मुकाबला जितना रोचक होता है, उतनी ही गहरी ऑफ द फील्ड हमारी दोस्ती है। दिल्ली स्ट्रीट, बॉम्बे स्ट्रीट, कश्मीर एवेन्यू, मालाबार एवेन्यू जैसी कितनी ही सड़कें यहां ऑस्ट्रेलिया में आपको भारत से जोड़े रखती है।
The Prime Minister also hailed the soft power that binds the two nations.
हमारे बीच भौगोलिक दूरी जरूर है, लेकिन हिंद महासागर हमें आपस में जोड़ता है। हमारी जीवन शैलियां भले अलग अलग हो, लेकिन अब योगा ये भी हमें जोड़ता है। क्रिकेट से तो हम ना जाने कब से जुड़े हुए हैं, लेकिन अब टेनिस और फिल्में भी हमें जोड़ रही है। हमारे यहाँ खाना बनाने का तरीका भले अलग अलग है, लेकिन अब मास्टर शेफ हमें जोड़ता है।
As the representative of world's largest democracy, Prime Minister Modi presented India and the values it stands for on a global stage. Ahead of the mega diaspora event, Indian culture was on full show in Sydney. From Garba to Natu Natu, the sights and sounds of India swept over Sydney. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's from there turn to our other special focus tonight. The 2000 rupee note exchange program has begun. Banks are now taking these 2000 rupee notes. But contrary to the RBI's assurances, the fact is many customers are experiencing enormous difficulty in getting their 2000 rupee notes exchanged at banks. In a moment, we'll answer all your FAQs. But first, take a look at this report.
No long queues in the scorching sun. No anxious people waiting hours for their turn in the bank. The much feared queues of November 2016 are missing this time around, probably helped by more than a 4-month period given by the Reserve Bank and this appeal by the central bank governor.
There is no reason to sort of rush to the bank. Take your time. 4 महीने की समय दी गई है, आप आराम से 4 महीने के अंदर जब भी आपको सूटेबल होता है आप नोट एक्सचेंज करिए.
However, the execution of the plan has been left to banks who seem to be interpreting the Reserve Bank order in their own fashion. The biggest question is, can you exchange 2000 rupee notes more than once? Every bank has its own rule on this. Most banks have informed their customers and passed internal memos that the exchange should happen only once a day. But some branches and banks are accepting multiple exchanges per day.
The Reserve Bank may have relaxed the norms in the procedural KYC process for the smaller exchange transactions up to rupees 20,000, but the private banks are asking their non-customers when it comes to the exchange of this currency for the KYC compliances. Subsequently, multiple such transactions of exchange up to rupees 20,000 is permitted by the private banks until they see it and found it suspicious.
The second big issue, do you need to fill a form to exchange the currency notes? Different banks seem to have a different policy on this as well. While those without an account in the bank are being asked to fill a form for exchange, there's flexibility for those with an account. Banks are, however, ensuring that details of those not filling a form are also recorded in the system, guardrailing against those hoping to launder their black money.
People were being asked to fill up this form. As you can see that it's written over here that request slip for exchange of bank notes in denominations of rupees 2000. So one has to mention the name of the bank branch, bank account number if the person has an account in that particular branch. Then person has to write his name here. He has to also produce his identity proof in origin. Only then you will be issued 500 rupee notes in exchange of 2000 rupee notes.
The confusion is largely on account of the ambiguity in the Reserve Bank of India circular for the exchanging of currency notes. The circular says the exchange or deposit will be as per existing rules. While deposits are governed by KYC rules, there are no set rules for exchange because such an opportunity has not risen till now. Bankers are now worried that they may now appear on the radar of investigating agencies tracking money laundering or tracing black money routes. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Okay, let's now give you a rapid fire round of FAQs on that 2000 rupee note. Who better than Siddharth Zarabi, managing editor at Business Today, to answer those rapid fire questions. Question number one, Siddharth. Where can these 2000 rupee notes be exchanged and deposited?
They can be exchanged at banks. They can be deposited in accounts, and a sort of exchange is already taking place at jewelry shops, at Zomato, at even real estate companies.
Is there a limit, though, to the number of notes that can be exchanged, Siddharth?
Official channels at the bank, we all know it is 20,000 at a time for exchange. For deposits, there is no limit. But like I said, none of these limits are applying in the non-official or the grey zone in which many of these transactions have been happening even before the first day of withdrawal 2.0 of 2000 rupee notes.
Before I come to my next question, just a clarification on what you first said. What if a shopkeeper or someone refuses to take the 2000 rupee note? Because a number of people are complaining about that, saying they are going to places where the 2000 rupee note is not being accepted by shopkeeper. Do I just have to live with that?
There should be no reason, as long as the transaction is billed for. The shopkeeper doesn't have anything to worry about, and the customer who is paying does not owe any explanations to the shopkeeper. He owes those explanations, if at all, to the taxman.
Can non-account holders also exchange the notes at banks?
Well, as far as that bit is concerned, some banks are allowing this, some banks are not allowing this. Those who are allowing this in the private space are asking for some sort of ID and also getting some details of the customers down, because they fear that subsequently they may have to answer questions. In the public sector banking space, the State Bank of India had announced on Sunday basically what is a no questions, no form, no ID system of exchanging currency notes.
You said State Bank of India and you referred to it specifically, saying that they do not need any ID or form proof. But I know a friend of mine this morning went to two banks where he has accounts and they asked for ID proof when he was exchanging the notes. So is this a standard practice across banks or not?
Rajdeep, a standard practice has not been in fact implemented. If you look at what the RBI has said so far, and State Bank of India as India's largest bank in terms of its spread, it's clear that there is some bank level implementation, interpretation that is happening. And that seems to be the gap. It is, we must acknowledge, the first day, and there is some sort of pushback in some ways from North Bloc as well, which is stepping up its efforts to ensure some of these niggles get sorted out. Officials are, in fact, on constant calls to ensure that there is no major disturbance that is caused.
No, so what you're saying is that eventually no forms will be required to be filled in the next few months when I exchange notes. As of today, some banks are asking for forms, some are not. Am I correct?
Can't be predicted. If you recall, 2016, there were 10 forms a day. Thankfully, this process seems to be more sorted. So it's impossible to sort of speculate as to what the next clarification would be. Let me just say that the public sector banking space is treating this slightly differently from the private sector banking space. And in the private sector banking space, they have a sort of a very different approach to KYC and compliances with different laws. And I think they are being stricter about it. But when it comes to mass banks like the State Bank of India, I think they are letting it be easier for their customers, or even those who are not their customers but want to exchange currency.
What is the deadline for the exchange transfer? Is it still September 30th?
That hasn't changed. And remember the big number, 3.62 lakh crore, 20,000 at a time, that at a time being interpreted differently. Delhi-based sources saying at a time means that you can queue up again and again on the same day. Certain banks saying no, 20,000 is per day. So we really don't know the total sort of time that will be taken. It's very difficult to even arrive at some number, Rajdeep. You will understand that it will mean millions of transactions all across the country. So as of now, I think most people expect the entire sum of money to come in. And remember, it doesn't mean that on 30th September shutters are down. Pink will continue to be the new black post 30th September as well, Rajdeep.
So just before I come to my next question, just clarity on that. If I have 1 lakh rupees in cash in 2,000 rupee notes, can I go on a single day and do 5 transactions at the bank to exchange or deposit?
Depends on how good relations you have with your branch manager. Rajdeep, for you, a famous personality, I think that that concession may be granted. I don't know about others. It will be, like I said, branch to branch, bank to bank.
You know, very interesting, because I don't have a 2,000 rupee note, so I don't really have to worry about that. But those who have to worry. What happens post September 30th, Siddharth? Do we know what will happen on October 1?
That's a good point. And remember what happened, and there were sort of even diplomatic implications of the 2016 note ban, where after a certain date, that entire currency that had not been changed, deposited, got extinguished. Remember Nepal, Bhutan, there were other countries also where some Indian currency keeps floating around. There were issues with that. The second bit is non-resident Indians who may have gone out for 6 months and they would miss this. So that's why this time the note does not stand extinguished on the 30th of September. Post 30th of September, as of now, what we have understood is that those currency notes can be exchanged at designated RBI offices. Now that could change, but as of now, that is the situation that we can say.
One final question. Was this all really necessary? There are those who are asking, was this really necessary, this whole 2,000 rupee note? This is, of course, more your opinion. Do you believe that the RBI had no choice? Could this have been done in some other way? Do you believe at the end of the day, this pink note controversy could have been avoided entirely?
Frankly, I put that question to Dr. Sujit Bhalla.
Just stop printing it. It's already stopped printing. Yes.
Well, that's right, Rajdeep. I put that question today itself earlier to Dr. Sujit Bhalla, former ED of IMF and a former member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. That answer is available here. But to answer your question, to the best of my ability, a certain amount of currency had been printed to increase the total volume of currency available in the system after note bandi. 50% of that had been withdrawn gradually over the last 5-6 years. You could conceivably argue that the remaining 3.62 lakh crore which are outstanding in the system could have been allowed to come back into the system over 3-4 years. The government and the RBI have clearly chosen to do that in 4 months instead of 4 years. We can speculate about the reasons, but this is reality. It is note badli and not note bandi. And one final quick point, you will see a lot of liquidity coming into the banking system, and that will have macroeconomic positive implications, what economists are saying, and that's what Dr. Bhalla also told me earlier today, Rajdeep.
Right. Okay. Interesting, Siddharth Zarabi. You've clarified some of the doubts for our viewers, and thank you very much for doing that. And if you have a 2,000 rupee note and you have any more questions, just ask Siddharth Zarabi. That's what I do. Thanks very much for joining me, Siddharth. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, we are turning to our Good News Today story. It comes from Palghar in Maharashtra. You're watching the News Today. News without the noise.
where the software engineer meets the cool UI UX designer, meets the gifted content writer. To create the big dream, the world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Where the software engineer meets the smart market analyst, meets the talented photographer. To create the big dream, the world comes together at Sharda University. So where are you?
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
And finally, let's stick to that theme of water scarcity, but this time with a story of some hope. Hope amidst despair, because when the state doesn't provide citizens water, citizens have to do it themselves. And that's why Prasad Salkar, a young 14-year-old in Palghar in Maharashtra, also a village which is hit by water scarcity, has become a bit of a hero. Why? Because he on his own has dug a well for his mother to get water. Think about it. This is the reality of India. I leave you with this story and simply say good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Pranav Salkar saw his mother struggle to get water after coming back from work every day. The nearest source of water was half a kilometer away. Pained by this sight, the 14-year-old took matters into his own hands. He started digging a well, and in 4 days, he struck gold.
त्याला मी एक सूचना दिली होती का इथे खून खण थोडंसा पाणी लागतो का आपण बघूया. नंतर आम्ही मग कामावर जायची सुरुवात केली. मग त्यांनी मनापासून सुरुवात केली खोदायला. त्याच्याकरता त्यांनी खोदता 3-4 दिवस त्यांनी लावले आणि पाणी लागलं.
Pranav's parents speak fondly of their son's efforts. They recount how he had made a ladder to dig out soil from the pit.
आम्ही मजुरी करतो आणि संध्याकाळी येतो काम करून. मला त्रास होतो म्हणून माझ्या वडिलांनी विहीर खोदली 4 दिवसात. मला आनंद वाटतो.
ते पाणी तुम्ही वापरता का?
त्या पाणी आम्ही वापरतो.
Kelve village in Palghar gets piped water thrice a week. To Pranav's parents, who work as labourers, the well is a relief. And it goes without saying, Pranav is now a hero in his village. Bureau Report, India Today.
Summers are devastating for stray animals.
The scorching heat wave means animals living on the street struggle for water. Karma Foundation is on a mission to make life easy for stray animals.
This water bowl challenge is also one of such initiatives where we know during the scorching heats of summer has to provide the basic requirement for the health of the pet, which is water, and hence we are actually donating the water bowls.
These water bowls are a big relief for stray animals living under the open sky in sweltering weather. Karma Foundation has requested people to join their movement by placing a bowl of water outside their home or workplace. Bureau Report, India Today.